The Yeshiva Shlita, Rabbi Ephraim Wachsman, has been following and watching Kinyan since day one. For those of you who don't know, Rabbi Ephraim Wachsman was in Rabbi David's house and came to give us chizuk the day we started Kinyan 9.5 years ago, Baruch Hashem. More recently, the Yeshiva has a close-up view of Kinyan from Rabbi Avram's Chabura in Pomona. And it's our kavod to ask Rabbi Ephraim to address the tzibur.
Bereshus, Yedidi, Rabbi David, Rabbi Yitzchak, all the Rosh HaChabura, Bereshus, Kol HaKodesh Hazeh. Rabbi David sent me a little note before this event to speak for 18 minutes. I don't know, it was in a matzah bakery. But I remember I once had to speak somewhere, and just as I get up, the guy tells me, he says, you know, how are they going to end speeches after Mashiach comes? I said, B'vias girl tzedek, what are you going to do? So he says, Weißt du, when Mashiach comes, there won't be any speeches anymore. And I said, to know you're wrong. When Mashiach comes, he won't have to end any drushes. Because the Olam will be interested to hear Divrei Torah, and never get enough. But still, we're still in Engrossed, so I'm going to try to follow the instructions of Rabbi David. This event tonight, besides being a Kiddush Hashem, besides being a Kvod Shemayim, besides being an evening of tremendous chizuk, it's really a chizuk nifla in emunah. To see that the Torah HaKadosh the Eibishter gave us 3,500 years ago, when we all stood at Har Sinai, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave every one of us a kiss, as it says in the pasuk, Yishakeni min nishikois piyu. And from that kiss, we all became cholos ahava, and we were filled with a fire, a Mashiach. We're drawn to Torah Hashem. And through thousands of years of golus, of challenges, of Mesiras Nefesh, and being covered over by many, many layers of trials and tribulations, yet to see that the fire of Torah is alive and burning and glowing, and to see how Torah Hashem is still Meshivas Nefesh, how it's the only thing in the world that can restore the nefesh of a person, the only thing that can make a person really glow from the inside. Every knowledge, every wisdom, every philosophy that was there those thousands of years ago doesn't exist anymore. But the Torah Chayim that the Eibishter gave us lifts us, encourages us, changes us, beautifies our homes, elevates our character, brings out all the kedusha of a yid, and above all, as we saw, brings real simcha. There's all types of simcha, but most simcha today is superficial simcha. A superficial simcha doesn't come from the heart. A heart can only get simcha from Pikudei Hashem Yishorim Mesamchei Leiv. We saw the yashers of Pikudei Hashem being Mesameach Levovois, of tired, elechtige Yiddische Kinder, Heim, V'nishayseim, U'b'neimim V'nishayseim, all filled with Simchas HaTorah. Ashreinu Ma'toiv Chelkeinu. And tonight, once again, we've resolved a great argument, a great battle that took place all those thousands of years ago when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Shemayim. And the Malachim fought. They said, Tno hoitchal ha-Shemayim. Don't let the Torah go down onto that earthly place with all of its challenges, with all of its nisyonis. The Torah belongs here together with the Malachim. And Abe said, Moshe Rabbeinu, hold on to my kisei hakavod, v'hagzeh lehem tshuva. Answer them. And Moshe Rabbeinu turned to the Malachim. He said, Klum yetzahara yesh beineichem. Do you have kinna? Do you have sinna? Do you have machloikas? Do you have challenges? Open up the Torah. Who is it talking to? Who was it made for? The Torah belongs with us. And the Rabbeinu Shalom chose us. He said, you should learn the Torah, not the Malachim, because the Torah that was learned here tonight in this magnificent, glorious, heavenly Seder of Eden, who, as we heard, are working out in the workplace, Klum leMitzrayim iradetem, with all of the nisyonis and all of the challenges and all the temptations and all of the influences that are the antithesis of a Yid's pure and holy soul. Adveikim b'Hashem u'b'Torasi, learning Torah with all of their hearts and all of their nefesh and all of their leiv and all of their simcha and all of the love that they have in their hearts. Malachim, can you ever make such a seder? Where in all of the worlds and all of the olamos that there are in all of the heavens, there cannot be such a seder of limud HaTorah like there was here tonight. When Basia Bas Paroi saw the little basket of Moshe Rabbeinu, she heard him crying out there on the river. Vatishlach es hamosa, she stretched out her hand to retrieve the basket, and Chazal tell us, Nishtava v'yodo amos harbe. Her arm stretched out hundreds of amos and brought back the basket with Moshe Rabbeinu inside. An extraordinary nest, but a very strange nest. You know, Lamait Benisa Odiv. Don't have to make a big nest, you can make a smaller nest. Wouldn't it have been more fitting, I think, if she would stretch out her arm, and suddenly a light, gentle breeze would come, maybe a little bit of harp music in the background, and magically the little teva would float right into the hands of Basi Bas Paroi. That would have been maybe more fitting. What was the purpose of such a strange thing? Her arm stretches out so long, and Vatishlach es hamosa nishtar v'yoda amos harbe. When Basia Bas Paroi stretched out her hand, she was actually saving the world. Well, she thought she was saving the world. She's saving this baby, who actually is the one who gives Torah to the world, Moshe Rabbeinu. But you know, the emes is, the Eibishter had many ways to save Moshe Rabbeinu. He didn't need Basia Bas Paroi. It would be any other way. The Torah was going to be given. What Basia Bas Paroi accomplished by stretching out her arm and overcoming many different terutzim she could have had. She had all the reasons not to do it. She's the daughter of Paro who made the decree. You can't just go against your father's decree. And there were so many other children being thrown. I'm going to save this one. What difference does it make? And it's so far I can't even reach it. But nevertheless, she stretched out her hand, and what happened? Not that the basket came to her. She grew. The purpose of our connection to Torah is that we ourselves grow. Nishtar v'yodo amo yisharbe. What happened? She lives now l'neitzach nitzochin. Moshe Rabbeinu had 10 names. He's known only by the name of Moshe. And it says it's not Moshui, the one who was drawn out of the water, but Moshe, the one who did it. Every time we say Moshe, Teiras Moshe, Moshe emes, Terosei emes. Every time we talk about the Rambam, the Ramah, Moshe bad Moshe, L'kadech Samseifer, all of everything that Klal Yisrael is, Teiras Moshe to Klal Yisrael. Every time we say that, we are again remembering the story of someone who stretched out her arm and grew. because she connected herself, because she overcame the difficulties and all of the discouragement and all the reasons not to do it. And because of that, she had this smicha that lives to this very day. Imagine had she not done it. She had all the reasons not to. Imagine had she not done it. She had in her the ability to change the world forever. Imagine had she not done it. And I want to ask you to do something really horrible for a moment. All of you try to imagine what life would be like had you not joined Kinyan Hamasechta a few years ago. Where all those years would have been, what they might have looked like. And how much we all grew. How much was nishtarva yoda amo is harbe. Because we all had terutzim not to do it. We all had difficulties. Maybe it wasn't so comfortable, didn't work out with my schedule. We said, Aval Pikein, I am going. I don't even see how I'm going to be matzliach. My hand doesn't reach that far. I should know a Masechta Baal Peh. I should have the Torah inside my bloodstream or in my bones, as Rabbi David says. How is that going to happen? But because I did it, I changed my life and the lives of all of those around me. Now the Rambam writes a letter to his son. He says, you want to understand the Yetzer Hara, you have to study Paroi. Because Paroi hu ha-Yetzer Hara ba'atzmoi. And what did Paroi say? What does the Yetzer Hara want? You think the Yetzer Hara is here to tempt us to do Averos or to stop us from doing mitzvahs? That's not the Yetzer Hara's goal. Those are the tools that he uses. But Paro's goal was, Hava nischak meloi pen yirbe. The Yid should not grow. There should be no tzmicha. That's what the Yetzer Hara really wants. We should stagnate. We should go through years wasting time, wasting years, not having anything to show for it. And he'll do anything in his power. Pen yirbe. There should be no riboy. There should be no nishtarva yoda amo isharbe. It was about 10 years ago, there was somebody tried to market a new product. It was a type of watch. It was called the ticker. It was different to a normal watch. It didn't tell the time. What this watch would do is it had a little computer inside, and you put in all your information, your age, and some of your medical history, and maybe your blood pressure, and your cholesterol level, and your habits. And the computer would calculate what your life expectancy was. And then the watch, instead of telling the time, would every day and every hour show how much time you have left to live. Now, people didn't want to buy it, of course. And they thought that if you get it, you take such a watch, it could be very depressing. Keep seeing it going down and down and down. So it didn't sell that well. But the people who had it reported that they felt such an inner happiness that they never experienced before. Because they were able to see the value of life, they were able to appreciate what life is. The people who couldn't get to appreciate it because they were afraid to connect themselves like that, and so they stayed in what they imagined was happiness, but it really was the opposite of happiness. The people in this room don't need to have a ticker to know the value of life, the value of time. To know what 5 minutes means. This room is filled with people who know that in 5 minutes, who are able in 5 minutes to chazer an entire blot Gemara. That they know. Some of you can do it 2 times, some 3 times. And there are people sitting in this room who never dreamed that they could have done such a thing. Are able to chazer an entire Masechta in a day and an afternoon. No one has to teach you the value of life. No one has to teach you how to love life. Because you've been shown what life and what time, what it really could be used for. And that is the biggest gift, and that's why we have to be thankful. The Kinyan Hamasechta, Parshit for giving us life. Ki heim chayenu, v'oirech yomeinu, u'vohem nega yoimim v'loilo. But we have to know how to deal with Paroi. Chazal tell us, what did Paro do? How did he draw Klal Yisrael into his net? So the first day, the Medrash tells us, he promised an exorbitant amount of money for every brick that you can make. And according to how many bricks you made, that's how much money you got. So everybody was working very, very hard. They wanted to make 40 bricks, 50 bricks, 60 bricks. You know, you got paid per brick a fortune of money. They didn't realize that on the side, the supervisors were marking down on each person how many bricks he made. And then came the next week, the next day, and he said, oh, you can make 50 bricks a day. I saw that you can do it. And now on, you have to make this amount, but they didn't get paid for it for now. But they showed them, you can make 50 bricks, and that's what you have to do. And that was Avodas Perech. Now, Paro is the Yetzer Hara. So the Yetzer Hara always wants to remind us of when we worked hardest to satisfy him. And to tell us, to identify ourselves, you know, the worst you who you ever were, that's who you really are. The most you work for the Yetzer Hara, that is your real identity. And that's how the Yetzer Hara destroys us. But he has to know that that's not who he really is. A Yid is defined by his finest moments. What he can do when he's at his best. That is the true tzura of what a Yid. Kinyan Hamasechta enables us to see a new picture of ourselves, to see what we're capable of doing, to know how we are when we are at our best, and to know this is truly who you are, and this is how you identify yourself. The Yetzer Hara wants us to have a completely distorted image of who we are, but often we don't have the ability, we don't have the wherewithal. We're given here the ability to be able to see what we can accomplish and to know, that's me. I'm a person who can walk into a besmedrash and look at a Hamasechta or 2 Masechtas or 3 Masechtas and say, I am connected in my neshama to that Masechta. That Masechta is with me in this world and the next world. L'netzach nitzachim is going to be a part of me forever. That's who I am. And we have to want life with all our hearts. There was a Yid, his name was Rabbi Eisner. He was an Alter Ger Chassid, he was a Mashgiach in the Ger Yeshivas in Eretz Yisrael. God Adohai ben Yid. He went through all the horrors of the Second World War. He lost his family. And I once read a story, somebody wrote about his own experiences, and he describes how he was lying on a bunk in Auschwitz. In the middle of the night, he felt he just can't continue. And he's writing, I started to cry out in the middle of the night, Ich will sterben, ich will sterben, ich will sterben, I want to die, I want to die. And I'm calling out this, I want to die. So I open my eyes and I see Rabbi Gadol standing right over my bunk with a big smile. And he's smiling. I said, Rabbi Gadol, what are you smiling about? He says, what do you want? He says, I want to die. Ich will sterben. He says, so sterb schon. What are you making so much noise for? People are trying to sleep around here. He says, what are you talking about? He says, yeah, don't make such a ruckus. You want to die, just die. The other wants to sleep over here. I'm looking at him. He says, and he's smiling, he's laughing at me. And he grabs hold of me. He says, tell me, what do you want? Tell me what you want. And I looked into Reb Gadol's face and I started to say, Ich will leben. Ich will leben. I want to live. I want to live. And I was screaming, I want to live. And with that, he drew me out of the sadness and despair and the years that I had fallen into. And I was screaming at the top of my lungs, Ich will leben. And that's why I survived. We live in a world of so many nisyonis. So many things discouraging us, so many things that can bring us to despair. We've all come together to say to the Rabbeinu Shalom, Ich will leben. I want to live. We want to live. We want to have real life, Rabbeinu Shalom. We want our lives to count. We want our families to be proud of us. We want our children to look up to us and take part in the real, true joy of life that we are zeicha to experience. We're here to say, mir willen leben. Rabbi said, the schus to have a Masechta in your heart, or 2 or 3 Masechtas, is a different person, different surah. Rabbi said, the schus to have a Masechta in your heart, or 2 or 3 Masechtas, is a different person, different surah. Rabbi said, the schus to have a Masechta in your heart, or 2 or 3 Masechtas, is a different person, different surah. Rabbi said, the schus to have a Masechta in your heart, or 2 or 3 Masechtas, is a different person, different surah. But Kinyan Hamasechta is all about smicha. It's about growth, about nishtar v'yoda amis harbe. The Torah can make us grow. And perhaps I'd like to suggest something. And perhaps this is natural to many of you here. Now, we all have our Sidrei HaLimud. People learn Kviyas Itim. You're connected to Kinyan Hamasechta. But there's something called thinking and learning. A person, even when he's not as a blat Gemara, there's a whole shaila in the poskim where they make a brach on here. The going says they make a brach here. I'm thinking the Torah Hegya and Libi. The Ikar Limud is when a person's mind is shokua and thinking. So we think of someone who's thinking and learning. A big Godel was never Mesiach Das. Or it could be someone who's a Magid Shir. He always has to be thinking, what is he going to say? We don't think of ourselves as someone who could be walking around and really thinking and learning. And that's a whole different caliber of a person. That's a person, as we heard before, who's giving his mind to the Rabbi Shalom. Perhaps if we could think that we should all have a time, just start with a little amount of time. It could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And we're going to be people who are thinking about what we're learning, whether it's chazering. Many of us know many bleta balpeh already. We can chazer just in our minds. Or maybe thinking about a kasha. Maybe the Rosh Chabura can give every week something that people can think about. And have that surah of a person who's in this world, functioning in all the world of Olam Hazeh. And he gives time not just to learn, but to think, to engross his mind in the Torah HaKadoshah. The Tanya writes that's the highest level of dveikus b'Hashem, because Torah is chochmas Hashem. And chochma is by the Rabbi Hashem. It's not like by us; it's something that's in us. The Rambam says, "Hu v'chochmasei echod." So when you're thinking about a line of Gemara, Hashem is in your mind, because Hu v'chochmasei echod. You've taken the Rabbi Shalom into your own mind, your own neshama. And you're in that thought, so you're in the thought, so you're in the Rabbi Shalom. He writes, L'shoinis, there's not shayach, a bigger dveikus, a bigger yichud to be a yid together with the Rabbi Shalom like that when the person is moyach, is engrossed, and is inside a machshava of Torah. Today is the first day of Shavavim. And Shavavim is manim of tikkun. Be'ikir for inyanim that are the hepech of kedusha, which is so much part of the nisyonis of the ikvus of the Mashiach. The last tkufa, the last stage of Golus is Golus America. It's called in Lashon Kodesh, America is called Artzos Habris. Means the Inyan of Bris is in the Oretz. There's constant challenges with all sorts of influences that are connected the Kedusha of a Yid. When we're thinking in Torah, we're purifying our minds, our hearts. V'tar libeinu la'avdecha be'emes. We make these decisions when we join a Chabura. We're choosing uvacharta b'chayim. But when we take the machshava into our heads and find time to be that type of person, we rise to the level of atem hadveikim b'Hashem alekeichem chayim kulchem hayom. Chayim kulchem hayom. We were zoiche to taste life. The Eibishter gave us through the extraordinary tzinor of Kinyan Hamasechta a connection to life at its deepest level. And the Eibishter should give all of you koiches hanefesh and siyata d'shmaya to go mechoyel al choyel with the help of your noshim tzidkonius who are so proud of you and so supportive of you and give away a lot, but they are shining from nachas and simcha and pride in your accomplishments. The Eibishter helfen that we should be zoiche. And it's such a wonderful, great thing. Torah's chesed, Tell more of your friends about it. Get more and more people. Give more Yidden life. It's the greatest matana. And in Metz Hashem, Mashiach still can come tonight, Reb David, isn't it? The night's not over. But we'll still have to have Kinyan Hamasechta. So that should be with thousands and thousands of people who are Zoiche, Toyameo, Chayim, Zochu, which be Zoiche, Bekorev, to see be Yeshuasan Shal Yisrael, Benechamosan Shal Yisrael, Vias Mashiach Tzidkeinu, B'mheira B'yameinu, Amen.